You're listening to the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast, episode number 220.
Welcome to the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast. Business advice so easy, you'll feel like you're cheating. And now your host, Amy Porterfield.
Well, hey there. Welcome back to another episode of the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Amy Porterfield. And if you happen to be listening to this episode as it goes live, then happy summer. I know you, and I know that you're probably working your buns off this summer, hustling to build your business and implement those new strategies. And as you are working so very hard, I hope that you take a little time this summer and you make sure that you include a little R&R over the next couple months. It's so incredibly important. Now, I know it's not summer all over the world, but I have a big US audience, so that's why I wanted to wish you all a happy summer. Now, one thing I love about the summer is having a little bit more downtime and hopefully even taking a vacation or two. This allows me to do some things that I might not always have time to do during the other times of the year. Now, one of the things I absolutely love to do as I'm relaxing or when I'm taking an extra long evening walk with Scout is to listen to back-to-back episodes of my favorite podcasts. Do you binge listen to podcasts? I know I do. Podcasts and audiobooks. I'm addicted. Audible, one of my favorite inventions of a lifetime. And so I just got back from a lovely family vacation in Hawaii. And while I was there, I binge listened to 2 different podcasts that I just couldn't get enough of. Every single morning, I would go walking on the beach, and as I would look over the water, come on, Hawaii's beautiful. We were in Maui. As I looked over the water, I would have my earbuds in and I would just learn and get inspired. And I'm telling you, it's one of my most favorite things that I ever do, especially when I have a little extra downtime. Now, for this easy breezy summer episode, I thought it would be fun to compile a summer listening playlist for you as it relates to my top past Online Marketing Made Easy episodes, as well as some of my listeners' favorites. So I asked a bunch of you inside of the Online Marketing Made Easy Facebook community to send me a quick audio of your favorite episode and why you loved it. And it was so much fun hearing from so many of you. I picked a handful of those to share in this episode. And what's so funny is that you guys all know I'm a sucker for a good accent, right? And there were so many beautiful accents from people all over the world that sent in their audios, and you'll get to hear them on this episode. Norway was one of them. I know I had an Australian in there. And of course, I had to choose someone from Nashville, right? I'm a sucker for those Southern accents. So it's really fun. You're not just going to hear from me, you're going to hear from my listeners as well. Before I dive into the summer listening playlist, this episode is sponsored by my free masterclass, The Ultimate List Building Catch-up Plan, my proven 3-stack system for leveraging the most powerful what's working now list building strategies without the stress and the tech confusion or crazy overwhelm that often comes from list building. So go to amyporterfield.com/list building to grab your free spot and finally get a handle on your list building strategies so that you can build your email list while you're working on all of those big projects that are moving your business forward. Okay, so I won't make you wait any longer. Let's dive in. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I love to binge listen to different podcasts. And when I was in Hawaii, I did just that. So if you were curious to know what I've been listening to, well, one of the podcasts was Brooke Castillo's The Life Coach School. So good. I listen to it pretty regularly. However, I got behind on a few episodes because things got busy. And so in Hawaii, I went back and listened to all of the episodes that I had missed. And oh my gosh, it's oh so good. Now, when this episode goes live, number 220, Brooke Castillo's episode with me, I got to do an interview with her, will already have gone live. If you missed episode number 217, I'm throwing it in right now for your summer listening playlist as a bonus episode because I wasn't even going to bring it up, but I just interviewed her and I cannot handle it. It was so good. I actually am predicting it's going to be my most popular podcast episode I've ever done. We focused on why you are not taking action. And come on, we've all been there, right? And she dropped some knowledge bombs that literally blew me away. Like she kind of drilled into me. She saw my weaknesses. She knew where I needed to improve, and she addressed those in the podcast episode. So you'll get to see me squirm just a little bit as well. But oh my gosh, the episode was so good. Number 217. I'll link to it in these show notes. You do not want to miss it. So good. All right. So the other podcast that I binge listened to in Hawaii was Oprah's Super Soul Conversations. And when I was in Hawaii, I actually got to have lunch with Jenna Kutcher and her sweet husband, Drew. So Hobie and I and Jenna and Drew all went to lunch at Roy's in Maui. So for all my Maui fans, you know where Roy's is. And we had this wonderful lunch and it was so much fun because I had never met Jenna in person. Although because I follow her and I listened to her podcast, I felt like I had already known her. So we got to have this great lunch and she said, Amy, you have to listen to Super Soul Conversations with Amy Schumer and Oprah. So for all the ladies out there, I think you are going to find this episode incredibly insightful, so good, so inspiring. But I also listened to a bunch of other Super Soul Conversations because I got hooked. So I say start with the Amy Schumer episode. I was surprised about how good it was, and then dive into some of the other ones as well. Okay, so those were the episodes that were in my earbuds while I was in Hawaii. I like to mix it up with fun and business. But now I want to dive into the 5 favorite episodes for my podcast, Online Marketing Made Easy. And I'm going to share with you what episodes I have loved thus far and why. And I'm also going to share with you the episodes that some of my loyal listeners have found really valuable. This is going to be a quick episode starting now. I've talked way too much up until this point, but if you want links to anything that I mention in this episode, just go to amyporterfield.com/220. amyporterfield.com/220. Okay. So first, I'm going to begin with a listener recommendation. We actually had 2 people call in and suggest the same episode. The first one is Michelle from Canada. She is a fellow binge podcast listener. Okay, let me have you listen to the quick little snippet from Michelle.
Hi, Amy. It's Michelle Nyong'o here from Kamloops, BC, Canada. I was late to the podcast game, so I binge listened to your podcasts, and I love so many of them. But by far, my favorite is number 182, How to Mega Batch Your Content, because I was hustling and working way too much. The dead simple strategies you suggested led to a big shift in my business. It was a quick and huge win for me. You gave me what I valued the most, my time. So thanks.
All right, that was Michelle. And next we have Sarah from Denmark. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
Hi, Amy. It's Sarah from Denmark. I'm a graphic designer and I love listening to your podcast. I especially loved the one on how to mega batch your content because I think I need it. I'm a new entrepreneur in graphics design and marketing, and I need to know how to batch up to not get lost in all the things that I need to do as a new marketeer and only me in my business. So that's what I love and why I love it. Hope you have a great day. Bye.
Sarah and Michelle, thank you so much for calling in. And you know I love a good mega batching session. As a matter of fact, I'm mega batching my podcast recording right now. So thank you so very much for the messages. All right. So now I want to share with you my first past Online Marketing Made Easy episode that I absolutely love and recommend. And that is episode number 147, How to Ask Better Questions and Get Better Business Results. This is an episode I did with Marie Forleo right around the time that she released her 3-part video series all about building a modern marketing business, and she was launching B-School. So this episode was a few months ago, and I still get people telling me how much they loved it. And I thought the freebie was really valuable in this episode. It will help you to remember you've got to pay attention to the questions that you're asking yourself. So, for example, a question might be, why is it always so hard for me? Or why do I take so long to learn all of this stuff? Or why can't I just be as successful as XYZ, somebody you're comparing yourself to? Those questions will get you nowhere. So Marie will help you flip those low value, low energy questions into high value questions that will actually help you get results. It's a little mindset shift that I use every single day. So episode number 147, How to Ask Better Questions and Get Better Business Results. I highly recommend it for your summer listening. Okay, moving into recommendation number 2. First, I'm going to let you listen to Lindsay, who lives in Asheville, North Carolina, and she is sharing one of her favorites, but listen to the amazing success that she mentions in the very first seconds of her audio.
Hey there, Amy. My name is Lindsay Custer, and I live in Asheville, North Carolina. And first, I just want to say thank you so much for your incredible insight and knowledge that you share on list building. Your list building strategies have helped me grow my list to 50,000 subscribers in just 1 year. So thank you so much for that. Now, my favorite podcast episode is actually all about list building. It's episode number 99, and it's called How to Create a List Building Blitz Campaign. And in this episode, you walk us through what an epic blog post is. And if you're listening to this and you have no idea what that is, what I'm talking about, go listen to that episode, because that's how I got to my 50,000 subscribers. I completely revamped the way that I was writing content for myself, and it showed up in a big way for me. 50,000 subscribers in 1 year. So if you're confused or not sure of where to start, I would suggest you start there, because if you have a list, then you can build on that, create a course, which is what I'm doing right now and about to launch in the fall. And then you're bringing in those sales, which is what you want in the end. So if you have not listened to that episode, go listen to it now, episode number 99. Thank you so much, Amy. I love you so much.
Wow. Congratulations, Lindsay, on your list building success. That is phenomenal. You should be so proud of yourself. That's what happens when you put list building as a priority in your business. And the great thing about list building is you only need to make it a priority in the beginning, meaning you set your foundation, you put your strategy together, and then it doesn't feel like you're always trying to work on list building. So way to set the foundation. And Lindsay, thank you so much for mentioning a list building episode. So incredibly important. And a list building blitz campaign, it really does work. I mean, Lindsay's proof of it, but so many of my other students have said they did the blitz campaign as well, and it was a huge success for them. So I'm so glad you brought that one up. Okay, so if it's my turn to choose episode number 2 of my Online Marketing Made Easy summer playlist, I would recommend episode 203, How to Get Noticed When You're Just Starting Out. Now, I chose this one because the answer to that question, how do I get noticed when I'm just starting out, is going to be vastly different than you're expecting. In fact, I almost might frustrate you in the beginning before I actually offer you a little inspiration in that episode. So I call it my version of tough love. You all know I'm a huge softie, so my tough love doesn't look too tough, but I'm going to give you a hint. Do you really think that Oprah or Steve Jobs asked the question, how am I going to get noticed in such a noisy world when I'm just starting out? No, right? It didn't happen. I can guarantee Oprah didn't ask that question. So there's a little hint as to why episode 203 has a twist to it that's a total game changer for you. I'm all about helping you reset your mindset around business and being an entrepreneur. This is an episode that will do just that. Okay, let's keep moving on. Our next listener suggestion, number 3, comes from Molly in Oregon. And she actually has 3 favorites. So let's listen in.
Amy, it really doesn't seem fair. You're in Maui and I'm homesick in Oregon. This is Molly, but I wanted to call and record because I have many favorites, but without a doubt, episodes 149 and 150, the 90-day launch plan, were just incredible. They had so much information packed with valuable tools and a roadmap. I mean, a real roadmap. And that's why those 2 are my absolute favorites, followed closely by episode 209, which was the unusual podcast with the launch of a physical planner with Laura Casey. Of course, I think you maybe remember I'm trying to launch a physical product. So it was incredibly important to me. And I got a fantastic resource out of that podcast that actually saved me tons of money in the production of my said physical product. So those are without a doubt my favorite podcasts, but I love them all, of course, and hope you're having a great time in Hawaii, and I hope I feel better.
Molly, thank you so very much. Now, if you love a good detailed blueprint, I mean, I do. So if you're just like me and you're like, give it to me, then you'll definitely love Molly's first 2 suggestions, episode number 149 and episode number 150. And those blueprints will help you list build and launch smarter. Now, if you're thinking about launching a physical product, then I must agree, Laura Casey dropped some major value bombs in episode number 209. Laura, I love you dearly. That was a great episode. Thank you so very much for that. So go listen to episode 209 if you've ever thought of creating a physical product. Laura will take you on her journey of doing so. Again, Molly, thank you so very much. Now, as for my third online marketing made easy summer playlist recommendation, I'm going to have to say it's episode number 164. How do you decide between free content versus paid content? Like, what's the difference between the 2 and how do you create each of them separately? So free content versus paid content. Now, the reason I brought this one up right now is because I wanted to give you a quick business tip. This episode is actually super strategic. It's the number 1 question I get asked all the time. When I teach list building and course creation and webinars, people ask me, well, what's the difference? How do I create free content and make it different than my paid content? And so many other questions that come with that topic. So what I did is I created a standalone podcast episode to literally answer this question. Now, it was a huge hit on my podcast when it went live, but even more importantly, now every time I get asked that question, usually online, because that's where I do all my business, I could link them to this specific podcast episode. It increases my downloads. It adds value to the person asking the question because I literally lay it out. So I give them suggestions and examples and insights. So I do a good job of answering their question in the episode, and I get to link them to some of my content. So if they're asking the question, but they're not really in tune with my content or my community, now I'm getting them in there with value. So if you get asked a question over and over and over again, you either write a blog post about it, you create a video about it, or you create a podcast episode about it, and then you make sure that you link to it again and again and again. Okay, so we are moving in to our next listener recommendation. This is from Gregory from Nashville, Tennessee. I couldn't resist. I had to throw someone in there from Nashville. Gregory, love your accent. Okay, so let's take a listen to what Gregory had to share.
Hello, this is Gregory Gray from Nashville, Tennessee. My favorite episode is number 171, the DIY episode, because it actually gave me clarity on how to begin my online business and my online brand. So thank you very much for what you went through and actually the other episodes you referenced in that episode, as well as the tools and the other pieces of information you gave us to start out the way you should. So we appreciate it very much. Thank you for all your insight. You're a blessing to have in our ears every week. Thank you.
I'm so glad that Gregory shared this because I know it can be overwhelming, especially if you're in the beginning of building your business and you're not really sure where you should be spending money, what you should be doing yourself, where to focus. So the 5 things that I mentioned in this specific episode are really specific, meaning you will know exactly what you need to do and you will know what to delegate and what not to delegate. You really do need to focus on these areas before you focus on all the other things you want to do inside of your business. So that's episode number 171. I'll make sure to link to it in my show notes so that you can get there quickly. If you're just starting out, maybe in your first year of business, this episode number 171, a must listen to. Now, for my 4th summer playlist recommendation, I chose 161, Love and Business, How to Make It Work. So I couldn't resist this one because it was the first time that I got to introduce all of you to my husband, Hobie. And you all welcomed him with open arms, the nicest messages after this episode. And many of you still refer to Hobie. You tell me to say hi to him when I see you all in person. And he feels the love. He actually thinks he's very, very popular with all of you, probably more popular than he is. He sometimes teases like, hey, babe, if you need a little boost in your downloads, just bring me back on. Like, okay. Put that big head out of the room, please, because you're going crazy. So he does. He thinks he's really popular with all of you. So let's just let him think that. However, some of you absolutely loved the episode I did with Hobie, 161. And then later on, I did another one where I let him ask me 20 questions that I didn't know what they were in advance. That was a lot of fun too, because that's the episode that he wanted to tell all of you that he does all the laundry in our household and I don't. Yeah. He called me out. So it's always fun to have Hobie on the show. And if you have an online business where you are your own personal brand, I want to encourage you to invite your family into the mix. I know that Jenna's done this with her husband, Drew. Pat Flynn has done this with his wife, April. And a few others of you have invited your spouses and sometimes your kids into the mix. One of my dear friends, Corinne Crabtree, she has a podcast called Losing 100 Pounds. She told me that she recently interviewed her son on her podcast. And she's like, it was just so special and so fun to have him be a part of that. So his name's Logan, and I can't wait to listen to the episode. I think it's so great. It's great for the entrepreneur to have that bond with their family inside their business, but it's great to introduce your community to the back end of your life, the personal stuff. So I encourage you to do it. And thanks again for welcoming Hobie into your lives through my podcast. It meant the world to us. Okay, moving into spot number 5 of your summer listening playlist, I have a really good one to share with you. But before I get there, I want to give you a double whammy listener recommendation. The first one is coming to you all the way from Australia. Take a listen.
Hi, Amy. My name is Neda, and I'm calling from Perth in Western Australia. It's very hard to decide which one. I'm new to Online Marketing Made Easy, and my favorite ones so far, all of them are my favorite. And the one that I actually resonated with it was the episode 201 from 8th of March this year. And the reason I love that, because when you're starting to do what you love, somehow you need to get this engine running and pay for bills and survive. And to actually incorporate what you love and make money, this was great for me to know what I can do and what I can utilize my previous experience, combine it with what I'm doing now. So thank you. I can't believe I'm talking less than 90 seconds. Have a great day. Bye for now.
Neda, thank you so much for sharing episode 201. One of my all-time favorites for sure. If you didn't share it, I was going to share it. So many actionable tips if you're not ready to do a webinar. I love that one of my guests on that episode shared about promoting a live workshop. So many grassroots suggestions that are not too complicated and incredibly doable right now. So if you don't want to do a webinar, if you're not ready to do a webinar, make sure you listen to episode 201. Okay, I said it was a double whammy listener recommendation, so I've got one more from you. This one is May, and May shares my obsession with Post-it notes. Take a listen.
Hi there, this is May calling in from Oslo, Norway. My favorite episode is number 206, the Post-it Content Creation Mini Training. I love it so much because it's so easy to take action on and it helps me tremendously. Thank you so much and have a great summer.
May, I'm so glad you brought up this episode because 1, I love office supplies. And 2, this episode was with my best friend, Gina. We used to work together at Tony Robbins, and she is a master content creator. So if you have an idea for an online course and you want to get it out of your head and onto paper, this Post-it note strategy is excellent. After this episode, tons of my listeners took snapshots of their Post-it note strategy on their wall, and then they posted it on social media. So I invite you to do so. Tag me so I can see it. It's a lot of fun to see all of you implementing and taking action. Okay, so as I promised you, I was going to share my number 5 spot for your summer listening playlist. One of my favorites is number 222. And if you're paying close attention, you already know that episode is not yet live. It's all about the Total Immersion Weekend Retreat. Just last weekend, my integrator Chloe and I took a trip to Palm Springs, California. And over the weekend, we dove deep into a few areas of the business that felt messy for us. And everybody has messy parts of their business. There's no way around it. Whether you're making millions and you're doing really, really amazing things, or you're just starting out and trying to figure out everything as you go, there will always be messy parts of the business. And I'm going to encourage you to do a Total Immersion Weekend Retreat with either just you alone or you and maybe one person from your team, and you're going to dive deep into fixing the messy parts. It was a game changer for me. And in episode 222, I'm going to break down exactly everything that we did over the weekend in order to clean things up. And then I'm going to give you 5 questions to ask yourself to figure out what's the most messy in your business and what you should be fixing right away in a weekend retreat. It's really satisfying. I promise you. I can't wait to release that episode. Okay, so there you have it, your summer listening playlist with so many good recommendations. Don't forget to check out the show notes at amyporterfield.com/220. And you can get the links to all of these episodes. If you have a favorite one that you want to share with me, make sure to jump into my DMs on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active, and I'd love to hear an episode that you have found incredibly valuable. So DM me on Instagram, and so that we can have a little chat about it. Okay, so one more thing. Remember, this episode is brought to you by my masterclass all about list building. It's called How to Create Your Ultimate List Building Catch-Up Plan, and it will help you move past the tech stuff, the overwhelm, the frustration with list building. And remember, I always say, if I could change one thing in my business, I wish I started list building the right way a whole lot sooner. If you too feel that way, make sure to get on my free masterclass by going to amyporterfield.com/list building. I cannot wait to connect with you again next week. We have an awesome episode. I'll give you a little hint. Episode 221 is with Neil Patel. If you already know Neil Patel, then you already know you're not going to miss that episode, right? The guy's a genius. If you do not know him, you are going to love what he has to share in episode 221. It's all about SEO. Now, I know SEO can be really scary and overwhelming. I've never really engaged with SEO because I felt like it was just too heavy. However, Neil Patel breaks it down in a way that is so doable that we've actually implemented it in my own business as well. We took what Neil taught us and we started to use it in our business. And I'm so very glad that we've chosen to do so. I think you're going to love it as well. I'll see you next week in episode 221. Okay, guys, have a wonderful day. And I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast at www.amyporterfield.com.